All right, welcome back. It's Sunday and time to check out some JSB. That's Mr. Johann Sebastian Bach. I brought in a chorale here that is a bit longer than usual. As you might see, it's taking up the whole screen here. And this was one that was brought to my attention years ago, I believe, by a trumpet player named Dave Douglas, and more recently by a guitarist named Ed Gavitt, who said, "Have you ever checked out Es ist genug?" And I said, "No, I don't even know what that means." And so I went and found it, and here it is. And I thought we could discover this chorale together. Now, this may be a bit of a deep dive because it's a longer one, and there's a lot of stuff going on in it. So what we'll do is listen to it, and then record it, and then analyze it, and then improvise on it. So really, this could probably be like 4 episodes, but it's going to be 1 episode because I like to do one take and just see what happens. And I may have to go back and fix things and make mistakes and things like that, but that's what happens when we're practicing, and that's the way that we do things around here, is spontaneously. So let's go to some listening and hear this as it was intended for 4 voices. Well, I think you can hear some pretty interesting architecture in there, and we will get into that, specifically what is going on in detail. But before we get into the weeds on that, let's just deal with the sound, the actual notes that are on the page here, and record this thing. So what do we have? It's in A major. There's no repeats. I mean, there is kind of a repeat. The melody repeats, but the second time around, you heard that it's harmonized differently the second time around. So it's written out in full here. Let's play it, with the fermatas just as is. Let's give it an extra beat after the first phrase there. And let's give it a little slow down at the end. And that's about it. It's in A major, so let's warm up. All right, good enough. And 4 beats out front, soprano. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, that was a terrible start. Let me just, and also the tempo wasn't quite right. I want to give it 1, 2, 3, 4. That's better. The melody by itself is even quite strange. One extra beat. Whole tone scale, right? Or a Lydian. And the D natural comes in. But back to D sharp. sounds like it's in E. But a D natural here. All right. So let's try the alto now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Extra beat. 3. That was interesting. All right, let's try the tenor. It's getting weirder by the minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. I messed that up. That wasn't a D sharp, that was a B sharp. Got thrown off by the B sharp. So we'll practice it this time. G natural. A bunch of E's in a row. F natural. Boy, was that right what I played? I guess so. Okay, now we'll try and record it. Don't mess up that B natural. B sharp, 4. Right here. was right. Let's try the bass. Another B. Could have done that better, but that's all right. Holy chromaticism. E sharp. That's an A major with a G sharp in the bass. Wow. Okay, so that's it. Let's see if it. Let's see what it sounds like. I'm not really hearing the bass. Oh, there it is. Okay. Here's the second part of the melody. This part here, it's this part right here. Can't wait to see what that is. F sharp minor, and then to E major, A major. Boy, that's a strange chord there, that A major with a G sharp in the bass. Okay, so let's stop these. And let's go to the analysis part of this thing. Let's actually figure out what is going on here. So I have, I did not figure out how to write on the screen, but I did figure out how to write with a pencil. So that's what I'm going to do here. I have my little desk cam set up here. So is there a way? Let's see. Maybe I can have my head up above here. Oh, look at that. I can kind of do it like this. So let's try this. Let's try this and see if we can get somewhere with this. So I will do this analysis in two ways. I'll do it in the way that makes sense to me to improvise on, which is to write like chord changes, and then we'll do like a functional thing like Roman numerals, so we can see like how does it work. I'm going to bring this mic down a little bit. I'm going to bring this down a little bit so we can still see me, although it's not really necessary to see me, but that's all right. So what do we have here? Okay, so it starts on A, right? Can you see this? Yeah, okay, A, right? Let me make this a little bit bigger. You know what? You don't need to see me. Forget it. I'll just make this big so that you can see this. Okay, cool. There we go. So we've got A. Then we've got, you can see here, this is E over G sharp. So we'll write that. We'll write, you know, sometimes I don't write like over whatever, but I'll do it this time just to be thorough. Now, what is going on here? This is like. Now, what is this? This is like an augmented, right? F sharp augmented with a with a the C sharp in the top. There's a major seventh in this chord. Isn't that interesting? Right away, it just jumps out there. So because you have this D and you have a C sharp, and of course that's kind of like what they call accented non-chord tone or something like that. But you know what we'll do for notes like that are kind of like really what I'm hearing as a chord is this thing that it leads to. This D goes to the C sharp. So this D is kind of like you know, an it's like I don't know what you call that, but it's like when there's a tone that's not really part of the harmony, but then it resolves to the tone that is part of the harmony. I think it's called like an accented non-chordal tone or something like that. Anyway, just for fun, I'm going to put this augmented in there. So let's call that F sharp augmented. And then that just goes through regular F sharp, right? So we got both of those chords there. We got F sharp augmented and the regular F sharp. And then that's all over like A sharp, right? So now what is this? Well, this is just this is B sharp, F sharp. So we got a G sharp 7 here, really, right? Because you got the F sharp here, you got the G sharp and the B. Oh, it's over the B sharp. So G sharp 7 over B sharp. Okay. And then this is the same thing. This is just G sharp 7. Because the bass comes down, right? To be the root there instead of in the first inversion. So this is I can see what's happening here. This is like a dominant chord that's going to this chord here, which is a C sharp minor, right? So we got C sharp minor. Now this, when it comes and does this kind of thing, and then you have this this is a D sharp. I don't know why it's so small, that D sharp, but anyway, it's coming here like this. You can hear that that's like a B7 sound, like in this passing tone stuff here. So I'm going to write that in as one of the harmonies because that seems important. I don't know. It's part of the sound, right? And then that resolves to E. Here you can see E over G sharp, right? Okay, cool. Now I'm not worried about the function quite yet. I just want to get like what the chords are basically. Okay, and then E over G sharp, and that comes down. This is another E. This is just E, right? Yeah, this is E in the first inversion. So and then we've got well, this becomes an E7, right? Has that. Right, it has that the D natural brings it into the realm of being a 7th chord, which means that we're definitely in the key of A at that point. But it sounded like we were in C sharp minor here for a second. Anyway, analysis later. Okay, and again, this is like, wow, look at this. This is a strange one. This is like, look at this note. So this is like, this is an example of why you can't. Why you can't just take a vertical snapshot and call that the harmony, because this is a line that's moving, right? And clearly it's a whole descending line that comes down. But when you just take the snapshot of this thing, this E7 chord, like, okay, that's cool, but with a C sharp in the bottom and a D natural on top, that is really dissonant. But it's just passing. So it just resolves there to this B. So we call that. So this is like, again, I'm going to put a little parentheses there around that just to sort of make a note of that strange sound, and we'll just call this E7 over B. And then it's going to A, of course. Okay, and then this is the little, I don't know what you call it, tag or something. To me, it sounds like a tag. This is E right here, and then that's going to A. Now, what is this little passing deal here? That's like a B7, right? Yeah, you got F sharp, B, and D sharp, clearly, and with the A in the bass. So it's like B7, over A, I guess you could say. And then, well, what do we have here? I want to make this even a little bigger so you can really see what I'm talking about. Okay. What do we have here? We have, I'm trying to get this other thing off the screen. There we go. Okay. We have A sharp, we have G natural, and we have a C sharp and an E. That gives us a fully diminished chord. A sharp diminished 7, right? Now this is going like this next thing is well, this is like a B something, right? I mean B, F sharp, E. So that's like but you can see this E kind of comes down to the D sharp, and that becomes like a da 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 type of thing, you know, like this is like a B7 here, right? So this is like, so when that happens, that's like that 4-3 deal. So that's like a suspension. So we can call this like a B sus, you know, B sus. And then, so what is this A sharp diminished doing in here? I mean, that, you know, is leading into the B. So it's really, in my mind, when I'm improvising stuff, I think of that as like an F sharp 7, you know, with a flat 9 or something like that. Because that's basically what this diminished is, right? Okay, cool. So there's, and then it's going to resolve to E. Okay, great. It resolves to E. So we started in A, we got to E. Here's the second iteration of the melody. Let me make sure I'm on screen here. Okay. So we got, with this little whole tone fragment again. So we're starting on A. Then we're coming to another E over G sharp. So this is starting in a similar way, but this is not the same here at all. This is becoming an A7, right? Because this is an A7 over G, right? And we could just call it A over G, but functionally it's it's a dominant 7th chord. And then what is this? Well, this is D sharp, F sharp. Yeah, I can see here D sharp, F sharp, A. So this is a D sharp diminished, right? Trad. Now usually the diminished, you know, I like to think about, well, when it's a diminished, like what dominant is it? You know, to me it's kind of the same as what's happening here. This is like an incomplete. You could think of this as like an incomplete B7 chord, right? Because this is a B7 right here. So I got to put like in parentheses as like a B7, you know, and then it goes B7. So this is coming to E, resolving to E, and then this again is just E here. This is another inversion, so we'll just leave it there. And then this still is an again, since it's a new bar, E over G sharp. And then, then again, the E7, just like we had up here with this D natural. When this D natural comes in, it makes it an E7 chord, so that's a straight E7. With an F sharp, what does this sound like? So this we've got right here. This E is I'm sorry. This E right here. This is just, you know, G sharp E. So this is just this kind of sound. But then you've got again another example where the vertical snapshot is not very illuminating, because you have to consider like that's the line that's happening in the bottom. So it's la da da right. So this is the real, you know, the real chord tone is here, but this is like an on the beat sort of passing tone. Okay, so resolves to A. Got it. And then what's in the tag? What do we got here? D sharp. So that indicates a B7. Yeah, B7 over A, we can call it. And then we've got interesting. So what is going on with this right here? This is like C sharp, E, G. So that's like a C sharp diminished, right? triad right here. I'm talking about on the beat right here, C sharp diminished. And then this is like, well, this is B7. This is B7 over F sharp, right? So again, this C sharp diminished, what could you call this? Well, you could just call this, again, an F sharp 7. This is the same. See how we got the A sharp diminished up here, right? So, and this is in the same spot, really. And this is C sharp diminished. C sharp diminished, same thing. A sharp diminished, same deal, right? So again, we can call this F sharp 7. Because, this is kind of like, if this is B7, this is like the dominant of the B7, going back to the B7, little rocket back and forth there, dominant, tonic, no, not tonic, but, dominant of the dominant or whatever. The passing tone leads into the next inversion of that dominant chord, because then, ooh, what do we got here? G natural. So this is super weird. This is an E minor. This is E minor. What is going on? Why do we have E minor? I knew that sounded unusual when I was listening to it, but I didn't really understand what it was, and I still don't really, because we're in E major mostly. But this is, this may be an example of what they call a modal mixture, where you're kind of going sometimes major, sometimes minor. You're in the E area, but sometimes, you use the minor instead of the major. And then you could take attributes from that scale and put them in. So anyway, so we've there, and then how does it wrap up? Another B sus situation here to a B7, right? This is a B sus. I'm looking at this sound. Right? I'm sorry, that's A. So this is a B7 here. Why is it a B7? Because there's an A in it, right? There's an A right there. And then that's going to E, right? Okay, cool. Now, okay, so that's the first two parts of the tune. Okay, we've got the melody here, and then it's the end of the melody here, and then the second part of the melody here, and then ending here. So this is kind of like the B section is what I think of this, if we were talking about like song form style. Okay. Well, this is all, you can see there's no accidentals here, so this should be pretty straightforward. And it sounded to me almost like a vamp or something. It's kind of like just kind of vamping around in E, because you got E here, right? And then it's just the bass line just comes, So you're just coming up to another inversion, E over G sharp, same harmony. And then another E over G sharp here, and then it does change right here. You can see this is an A, right? Okay, and then what is this right here? Oh, look, this is another version of that. So this is like, because you come back to E, it's like the suspension. It's like an E suspended, but the suspension's in the bass. See, this is the 4 to the 3. So this is another example of that, accented non-chord tone. So we'll call this an E over G sharp. Okay, and then what? What do we have? Well, oh yeah. I remember playing this. That D sounded funny because it sounds like we're in E, but then this D comes up, so it almost sounds like we're in like a mixolydian or something like that. But or it could be an A. We'll find out when we do our analysis, functional analysis. But in any case, let's just look at what is this. This is D, F sharp, A with a F sharp. So this is just a D. This is just a D chord here, right? D over F sharp. Okay. And then it comes to A here, right? Okay, good. Now, now what do we have? We got this is yeah. This is an A here, and it's resolving obviously to E. There's a little business in here. This is like. and has that. I'm looking at this D sharp down here. So this is like when I hear that D sharp, then this tritone, right? See this tritone? To me, that sounds, even though there's an E pedal going on here, it sounds like it's B7 here. You know, it sounds to me like this. Like the A with the E in the bass, and then a B7 with the E in the bass, and then an E. You know, so that's what I'm going to call it. Now what do we have here? This is, you see the D sharp? Okay, that means B7, right? B7 over A, right? And then what is this? This is E over G. Okay, so the B7 goes to E. That makes sense. E over G sharp. And what in the heck is this? What is going on? This sounds like, that's totally okay. So straight ahead. That's the B7 over A to the E over G sharp. And then this sounds like this sounds like da 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 sounds like some Joe Beam thing or something. But this, wait a second now. So this, yeah, okay. But this is like a G7. You know what? I'm not going to worry about what's happening. I'm just going to call it what it sounds like to me. And to me, this sounds like a G7. I don't know why a G7 or what is a G7 doing here, but we will come back to that when we do the analysis. Come on, camera, focus in. Focus on me. Camera's a little out of focus right here. There we go. Okay. So G7, that G7 even threw a camera off. It couldn't figure out what was going on. It's like, no, this can't be right. Yeah. How could we have a G7 in the key of A or E or whatever this is? So in any case, where does that go? The G7 then goes to A sharp, E, F sharp 7. Boy, this is a G7 going to F sharp. Was this some sort of, sounds like a jazz tune. This is Bach plays the blues here. So, and then, yeah, this is the phrase that I saw when I was playing it. I was like, this is going to be something here to check this phrase out. Boy, what is it? Yeah, okay, never mind. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to get distracted by trying to figure it out. We're going to come back and figure it out. So this is, what is this here? We've got this. Boy, listen to that sound. sounds like Harold Arlen or something. So this is a D minor 6. I mean, this is a D minor 6 over F. That's what that is, you know. I don't know what else to call it. That's what I would call it. That's exactly the notes, you know. And then an E7, right? This da 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 da, you know, from that D natural coming in, that's an E7, right? And then we've got D sharp, F sharp, A, C sharp. That is F sharp minor 6. Look at that, F sharp minor 6. Oh, wow, that's interesting. You know, F sharp minor 6, D minor 6, that's a major third relationship between two minor 6 chords. That's like how you hear in stuff like in the key of A, those kind of turnarounds, you know. Well, anyway, I don't need to get into all that. Over D sharp. Okay. We will figure out a plausible explanation for this. Now, this is similar, E pedal here in the bass, similar to this one that we had before. This is an E pedal in the bass. Again, this to me sounds like an A over E, and then a B7 over E, and then to E, right? So we'll call it that. And then we have the two wrapping up phrases. So this is well, this is pretty clearly, this is E over G sharp, and then that goes to A, right? Make sure you can see it. There we go. E over G sharp goes to A. But we got a little switcheroo here. This is a B7 right here. This is a B7 over D sharp. B7 over D sharp. So that's like a 5 of 5, right? And it does not go to the 5. So it's not a 5 of 5. I mean, well, actually, look, here's, oh boy, what is this? Oh, this is a C sharp. Yeah, this is a C sharp here. C sharp over E sharp. So that's that's like a C sharp is that's going to an F sharp minor here. So we have a quick little cadence at F sharp minor. Didn't expect that. I mean, I kind of did, but we're gonna write MI for minor. Okay, interesting. La, la, da, da. So first he does it in minor, and then resolves to the major here. That's very nice. So then we say it starts on the same thing, E over G sharp, right? But then A over G sharp. That was the weird one that I was hearing before. Listen, boy, that's a strange one. This is another non-harmonic, whatever, non-chord tones. Because this is like you have this. I'm playing the A triad on top with a G sharp in the bottom, but that's just kind of resolving to this E7 here, right? It's like this. It's like the E7, the note from the. It's like the A is over the E in the similar way that it was here, but it's not the root of the E. It's over the third of the E. So when you put the A over the third of the E, you have a A over a G sharp, which is quite a crunchy sound, you know. Okay, then it's going to A. Okay, good. Now, so what can we do now? Should we listen to it again? And before we analyze it, let's listen to it one more time before we analyze it. Just now that we can hear these chords. So let's do the analysis now. Still with me? Everybody still with me here? You still with me? All right, cool. So here we go. We are looking at this in the key of A, right? So we're going to call this 1. It's definitely an A. Now this is a 5, right? Now right away we're getting like, okay, this G sharp is definitely outside of the, you know, we've gone somewhere else by that point, you know. So where are we pivoting? We're getting to C sharp minor, right? So somewhere in C sharp minor we got to kind of backtrack. You know, sometimes with these pivots, I don't know, you just got to make a decision somewhere. But I would think, let's see, let's call it Well, this is F sharp. This F sharp is like, oh boy, I don't even know what to call this. This is like a 4, right, in the key of C sharp minor. And what in A it's like a 5 of 3. So what we'll do is this. We'll call this. I'm already having trouble with this. 5 of 3, and then we're gonna call that 4, but a 4 major, right? So we're gonna go like this. This is A, right? And now this is C sharp minor. Okay. So this is a 4, and this is 5, right? And this is 5 again, right? And now we've got to 1. Okay, good. 1 with a little small 1. But then look, it's like C sharp minor, B7. When we get to B7, we're no longer in C sharp minor. Like that's not. So this has to be also another pivot. So we can say because we're going to A, right? And with this analysis, I always look like where's it going? You know, this stuff all looks A-ish to me. So I'm gonna say we're gonna go to A here. We're gonna call this C sharp minor 3, right? So again, these boxes are they're like pivots. They're like when one chord functions as two things. So it's a 1 in C sharp minor, but it's a 3 in A. Okay. So now we've gone 3, and then we've got B7, that's like a 5 of 5, right? 5 of 5, because that's a dominant of the dominant, because this is the dominant right here. This is the 5. Okay. And then we've got this is 5/7. Marginally different, and then to the 1. Okay, good. Now, okay. Now let's see here. We've got E, A, B. Oh, this is all heading to E over here. So to me, this is definitely a 5. I'm working backwards. This is 5, and that's a dominant of the 5. This is a 5. So to me, this feels like this has already we're already shifting into E at this point. So let's call this, A functions in E as a 4, right? So let's call this a 4 in E. Okay? And now we got 4/1, like a plagal cadence, right? And then, boy, this is a 4, 5. And this is a 5 of 5 right here. Right? Because we said before that F sharp is the dominant of the B. So that 5 of 5, this is a 5 sus, and this is a 5. Okay, and then we get to 1 down here. Big old 1. Okay. But no, but we got to get back to A because we're starting the melody again here, right? So this is now a 5 also. So this is actually a pivot here. So this is A. This is really moving around. So this is a 1 here. Okay, this is 5. Now what is that? A7. What's going on here? I mean A7 you would call it a 5 of 4, right? Like we're playing the blues. You know, because you get this G natural, right? That G natural tells you it's a 5 of 4, but then it's going to like a B7. So what I would say is that this is like a 5 of 4, but and then you go into like a 5 of 5, I guess. Yeah, 5 of 5 you could call this. It's a strange progression, but it's like parallel, right? It's like A7 to B7, but then this could be just a 5, right? Because I'm looking at where it's going. It's going to this E, right? So this 5 of 5, go like this. And we'll put E here. Okay, and then we got just a regular, good old 5/1 here. Okay, cool. And then, let's see here. What do we got? But then we're ending up in A. So we got to go back to A again. This is like, make up your mind, man. So this is 5, actually. This is 5 in the key of A, right? So we'll go like this, and we'll put A here. and then we'll go, well, that's 5. This is the same thing. This is still 5. So we actually don't need any new analysis right there. We just put this as a 5/7 because it's got the D natural in it there. And we come to 1. Okay. Now it starts to get a little gnarly down here. This is E. This is E minor, and then it's E major down here. So this whole cadence, something is going on leading to E. So I want to think about this in terms of E, and I think that this, we can now do the same thing that we did back here when we thought of the A as the 4, which is actually in the same spot in the melody, where the A is functioning as a 4, and this is like a little plagal cadence, right? So this is like this, E, and then it goes to 4, then it goes to 5, and then, well, this is a 5 of 5, right? We figured that out already, because this is like a C sharp diminished, like, so it's like a 5 of 5, right? And then to the 5, and then to 1 minor. I'll put a little lowercase 1 there, right? Because we got 1 minor, and then we got 1 major. Modal mixture. I think that's what that's called. You trained people can correct me on that. So, so this is, again, this is like a 5 sus to a 5 to a 1, right? Okay. Now, before I write on the page here and start scribbling things out, I want to try to think about this a little bit, because I'm working in pen. I don't know. It's not always great, but then you got to live with it. So, measure twice and cut once. This whole thing is going to E, right? Can we say that? Yeah, this is all like E, right? But then how do you explain this D chord? See, because all these chords kind of work in A also. This would be like 5, 5, 1, 5, 4, 1, 1, and then 5 of 5 to 5. But to me, it doesn't sound like. Let's listen to the. Can we go back to the voices, maybe? Was it here? Now, what key does that sound like it's in? I guess it sounds sort of like A. It sounds. Let's go from a little before that. Okay, so all I did was play the phrase before, and now it sounds like it's in E. See, by itself, because I think maybe because I still had A in my ear, it sounded. Where am I? I'm right here. I played from here, and then through this phrase. When you hear that, it sounds like you're in E, and then the rest of this sounds like E as well. But by itself, imagine you're in A. Here, we'll do a little mental trick. Get this in your mind. Okay, and now listen to this as if you're in A and you're kind of vibing off the dominant. Yeah. It even has that pedal, But now, if I play the phrase before. Oh. It really sounds to me like E. I think I'm going to analyze this as if this is in E, okay? You could do it both ways. I mean, honestly, I don't know the answer. But to me, in the context of where it came from, it sounds like it's still in E, okay? So if that's the case, then we're going to call this 1, right? and then we're gonna call this 1/6 or whatever. We don't need to do that. I'm not writing in like the 1/6, 6/4, 5/3, all those figured bass things here. I know you're supposed to do that, but I've already got enough notation on this page. If that's 1, then we have 4, and we have a little plagal cadence here, 4 to 1, and then we have this chord. La, da, da, da. This puts us in like a Mixolydian vibe, like, which again is a type of modal mixture, right? Because maybe that's the deal. Maybe because he's freely using other stuff, like this E minor here, then it goes to E major, right? And then it's like E Mixolydian or something, because he's got this D natural in the melody. So let's call that a flat 7. Let's call it a flat 7. Okay? In the key of E, D is a flat 7, right? Then that goes to the 4. I don't really know if this is correct, but who knows? So I'll call up Kendall Briggs and see what he has to say. I wish I could do that, actually. 4, 5, 1, right? 4, 5, 1. Okay, cool. Now, this is the next one, is the one that's super weird. Okay, so this is the one, I just want to listen to it again. Let's listen to the phrase we just did, and then the phrase that's after that. To me, this sounds like it's in A now. And you know what? I feel like doing like an alternative version down here. I'm going to say, like, if this is in A, this would be 5, and this would be 1. This is 5. This is 4. This is 1, 1, 5 of 5 to 5. See, this is like an alternate reading of this thing, right? Because to me, this one definitely sounds like A, and I'll tell you why. Because of this chord right here. D minor 6 is a minor 4 chord in the key of A. It does not really function. I mean, you don't see that type. You see this all the time in the key of A, right? There's a little bit of a jazz version, but a minor 6 on the 4 is extremely common going to the 5. This is not something that happens in E. I just don't see this as being in E anymore. The E7 and then the F sharp minor 6 is like the minor, relative minor. Even though it has a D sharp in it, that F sharp minor 6 is going to the A. So, and then 5 of 5 to 5. So that's what I'm thinking, that this has got to be in A, this cadence. But if we analyze it in A, well, let's just say that we're in A now. Okay, so we're in A here. And that makes this a 5 of 5, right? And that makes this a 5. That makes this G7, this makes this a flat 7. Look at that. So, look, if this cadence is in E, it has a flat 7 here. And if this cadence is in A, it has a flat 7 here. Could that be an intentional mirroring of that harmonic device, or am I just reading too much into it? I don't know. But it's very hip, nonetheless. Right? So we got this G7, the F sharp 7 is like a 5 of 2, I guess, right? Because, if we're in A, that would be, 5 of 2, I guess we call it. 5 of 2, right? And then we'll call this a 4 minor 6. This is getting pretty strange here. And then this is a 5, right? And then this, well, I mean, it's a 2, but it's like it's got a diminished in it, you know, so, because you have this D sharp, you know, some people would call this a D sharp half diminished, you know, also, or D minor 7 flat 5. I'm calling it F sharp minor 6 because it has that F sharp minor triad in it. But to me, this D sharp feels like it's a note that's leading into the fifth, you know, of the key, you know, which is where it kind of resolves. Now you could, I don't know, is there another way to do this? I'm gonna call this a 2 minor 6. I'm just gonna do it because we can't sit here all day and try to agonize about it. So then this is 1, and this is the 5 of 5, and this is the 5. Cadence ending on the 5th, so half cadence or whatever. So this is now, boy, let's just listen to that phrase one time. I'm talking about starting here. Oops. Here we go. Oh, that's. Now this phrase. Okay, so that's going to the relative minor. We're now back in A. Okay, so I already said we were in A. So this is still the 5, right? And now 5-1, but look, we're going to F sharp minor. So now we have to make a little switcheroo. So we're going to call this a 3, right? And this is an F sharp minor, right? So this is that would make this the 5 of 5. This B7, which would make this the 5, and that makes that the 1. And then the last cadence going to A, so we got to call this F sharp minor, and key of A is 6 chord, right? So we call that A, and the 6th chord, and we got 5, and then we have this weird 1 with the 7th in the bass, you know. 1, 5, 1. Whew. Okay. Congratulations for making it through that. I will, you know what I'll do? I'll scan this thing and I will put it alongside the other thing, the original, with a attachment to this post. Well, my brain is so fried from doing that I can barely talk. So okay, so let's put this aside a little bit, and okay, so you can continue to look at this for a second. I'm going to change my camera battery, and I will begin looping the guitar version. I'm going to see if I can get this whole sheet on here with the chord changes and everything. See if I can get this whole thing on here. Oh, not quite. Okay, so I can't fit this page, but what I'll do is I will attach it to this post so you can look at it. It's too much to fit onto the screen. It'll be too small to read. So I'll just talk through it as I play. Here's the ending. Okay, so now I'm going to call out these chords. I'll just kind of play basic chord shapes, you know. And see if I can get a feeling for the, you know, what we call the changes, you know. A, E, G sharp 7, G sharp 7, C minor, B 7, E, back to A, B 7, B sus, B 7 to E, A, E to A, then to B 7, B 7 to E, and then E 7 back to A, right? Just kind of going back and forth between E and A. And now I'm trying to get a sense of the whole kind of movement, you know. Now that we kind of understand it, this is all E major. That plagal cadence D. That D natural, right? Now it goes B7 to E, G7, D minor 6, F sharp minor 6, A, B7, E. And these last two cadences, the first one goes to F sharp minor, then it goes back to A. 5, 1, 5, 1. Okay. I'm going to try and improvise a very simple improvisation. 2, 3. It's a lead sheet, basically. I'm thinking about all the stuff we've been talking about. 3. times, play along. Whatever you feel like doing, sing the melody, think about it. I'm just going to try to start playing a little more freely. Here we go again, getting it a little more flowing. On that version. Let me try it one more time, or maybe a couple more times. Let's see. Try and concentrate a little harder. Now I'll just try to really be free with it. See if I can get a vibe. All right, so, let's stop it there. And I believe this is long enough. As the words to this chorale say, es ist genug. It is enough. It's enough for today. So, but this is how we might have done it if we were just hanging out here looking at this chorale and we say, geez, we've been doing this for a while. I'm getting hungry. And that's how I'm feeling right now. You can maintain concentration for a while and then you got to eat. So that's where I'm going. And thanks for joining me this Sunday. And if you like this video, head on over to Patreon. Work with Miles Okazaki. I don't just do Bach, but I do all kinds of other things. And I'm jazz studies and theory and guitar technique and all kinds of stuff. So it's a very small fee, and we have a fun community over there, and we're getting into all kinds of stuff. People are requesting topics, and Bach is one of them that's quite popular. So I like to do this every Sunday. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.